My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter, its words searing into my soul like a brand. Mrs. Hayes, your sons are plotting to take everything. I'm Margaret Hayes, 72, once a titan of the tech world, now a retiree living quietly in a modest home in upstate New York, where the air smells of pine and faded memories. I raised my sons, James and Thomas, to be men of integrity, or so I thought. But this letter, slipped under my door in the dead of night, shattered my world. It warned of a contract they'd tricked me into nearly signing, a document that would strip me of my fortune and leave me with nothing. As I sat in my living room, the fireplace casting shadows on the walls, the weight of their betrayal crushed my chest. How could my boys, the children I carried and loved, turn against me? I've never been one to crumble. In the 90s, I built a software company from a cramped apartment, my fingers dancing over a clunky keyboard as I coded my way to millions. I sold that empire before retiring, trading boardrooms for a simpler life. My silver hair is now pinned in a neat bun, my green eyes sharp despite the years. My home is a sanctuary, faded wallpaper, bookshelves groaning under the weight of novels, and a worn oak table where I once helped my boys with homework. James, 45, is a real estate agent with a smile that could charm a snake, his tailored suits hiding a restless ambition. Thomas, 42, is a university professor, reserved, his tweed jackets and dry wit masking a mind that overthinks everything. I loved them fiercely, even as their visits dwindled and their calls grew curt. I blamed their busy lives, James with his deals, Thomas with his lectures, but the truth was a darker shadow lurking beneath. It began 3 weeks ago, on a chilly October evening. James arrived unannounced, his cologne sharp in the crisp air. He set a steaming coffee mug on my table and slid a thick contract toward me, his eyes glinting with practiced charm. "Mom, this is our future," he said, his voice smooth as velvet. "A family investment fund. You, me, Thomas, we pool our resources, make smart moves. It's about legacy." Thomas joined via video call, his face pale on the screen, nodding as he mumbled about diversification and generational wealth. The contract was a labyrinth of legal jargon, pages dense with fine print. I trusted my sons. Why wouldn't I? They were my heart. My pen hovered over the signature line. But something stopped me, James's too eager grin, or perhaps Thomas's fleeting glance away, as if he couldn't meet my eyes. "I'll have Laura look it over," I said, waving off their protests. James's jaw tightened, but he flashed that smile again, the one that never reached his eyes. Laura Bennett, my lawyer and confidant from my tech days, arrived a week later, her face etched with worry. We sat by the fireplace, the contract spread between us like a battle map. "Margaret," she said, her voice low, "this isn't a fund, it's a transfer of your entire estate to James and Thomas. Sign this and you lose everything. Your savings, your house, your pension." My breath caught, the room spinning. Laura pointed to clauses buried in the text, each one a dagger. My fortune, earned through decades of grit, would vanish into their hands, leaving me destitute. My sons, whom I'd rocked through fevers and cheered at soccer games, had conspired to rob me blind. I didn't weep, not yet. Instead, I planned. I called a family meeting, cloaking my fury in the guise of a frail old woman. I invited James and Thomas to my home, claiming I wanted to finalize the contract. They arrived together, James in a sleek suit that screamed success, Thomas in his threadbare tweed, his glasses slipping down his nose. We sat in the living room, surrounded by photos of happier times. James's high school graduation, Thomas's first teaching award. The memories stung, but I buried the pain. "Tell me about this fund," I said, my voice soft, trembling just enough to sell the act. "Why do you need my money so desperately?" James leaned forward, his charm dialed to 11. "Mom, it's a no-brainer. We're securing the family's future. You want us to prosper, right?" Thomas fidgeted, his fingers twisting a loose thread on his jacket. "It's about opportunities, Mom. building something lasting. I let the silence stretch, heavy and suffocating. Their unease grew, and I pounced. "Laura read your contract," I said, my voice now sharp as a blade. "It's not a fund, it's theft. You take every cent I have and leave me with nothing. Explain yourselves." The air turned to ice. James's smile collapsed. Thomas's face drained of color, his glasses fogging slightly. Silence, then James's hollow laugh. "Mom, you're confused. It's just legal nonsense. We'd never—" "Don't lie to me," I snapped, my voice cutting through his words. "I built an empire from nothing. I know a scam when I see one. My own sons, thieves." Thomas broke first, his voice quaking. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. James said it was temporary, to cover some debts. We'd pay you back, I swear." "Debts?" I turned to James, my gaze piercing. "What have you done?" James slumped, his bravado gone. "I'm in deep, Mom. Bad investments, loans from people who don't mess around. I needed a way out. Thomas just got dragged in." My heart splintered. They weren't masterminds, just desperate men who'd lost their way. But the betrayal burned. I saw James as a boy, vowing to protect me. Thomas, shyly handing me a handmade card. Now they sat before me, unraveling my trust. I stood, my voice steady despite the ache. "You have one chance. Confess every detail, or I go to the authorities. And I'm not bluffing." Over the next week, the truth poured out. Each revelation a fresh wound. James's real estate empire was a mirage, propped up by forged deals and loans from shady figures who sent threatening messages in the night. He owed over $500,000, and his creditors weren't patient. Thomas, meanwhile, had fallen into online poker, his professorial salary vanishing into digital bets. He'd joined James's scheme, seduced by promises of a quick fix. Their plan was meticulous: siphon my wealth into offshore accounts, betting I'd be too old, too trusting to notice until it was too late. I sat through their confessions at my oak table, the same one where we'd laughed over Sunday roasts. Each word was a lash, but I didn't flinch. I wanted more than truth. I wanted redemption. I laid out my terms. No charges, but they'd work to repay their debts. Not to me, but to my charity for disadvantaged youth. I hired a private investigator to ensure they followed through and rewrote my will. One more betrayal, and my fortune would go to the charity, leaving them nothing. The months that followed were a slow, painful rebuilding. James sold his sports car and took a desk job at a small firm, his charm replaced by quiet determination. Thomas joined a gambling support group, his once sharp wit softened by humility. They began visiting, not out of obligation, but with a tentative hope. We'd sit by the fireplace, sipping tea, talking about the weather or old movies. I saw flickers of the boys I'd raised, James's infectious laugh, Thomas's thoughtful pauses, but the scars remained. I didn't forgive easily. Betrayal leaves marks that time only softens, not erases. Yet I believed in second chances, in the power of purpose to reshape a soul. One winter evening, snow blanketing the world outside, I sat by the fire, a cup of chamomile tea warming my hands. The pain of their betrayal lingered, but it was quieter now, like a distant echo. I'd face the unthinkable and emerge stronger, my legacy not in the millions I'd earned, but in the lesson I'd taught my sons. Family isn't what you take, it's what you rebuild, one fragile, honest step at a time.
If Margaret's story of taking charge and outsmarting her son's betrayal had you cheering or even shaking your head in disbelief, give this video a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next gripping tale of love, betrayal, or epic comebacks. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever faced a tough family situation like Margaret did? Or maybe you've got a story about standing up for yourself when the odds were stacked against you. Drop it below. Let's get the conversation started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.